Welcome back to another video. My name is Rab and I help people empower themselves. And in today's video, I wanted to share with you the reason why I quit smoking weed. Now, weed can be beneficial for a lot of people. I mean, people use it as medicine, people use it for recreation all the time, and I have no problem with that. However, it didn't work quite well for me, and I'm gonna share with you that reason here in this video. So let's begin. Weed was definitely not the first thing that I tried, and even when I tried it for the first time, I really didn't like the feel of it and I didn't like the taste of it either. One day I was at a friend's place and they told me they had something called a purple haze. And me being a Jimi Hendrix fan, I was really obsessed about the name first of all, so I really wanted to give it a try. As soon as I hit that first puff, it just blew my mind off. I had problems with anxiety and depression at the time, but right after I hit that first puff, like it all dissolved away and I was in this really calm and safe place with my friends for a second. So I kind of started liking it right after that. In the beginning, I was just using it very recreationally just to have fun with my friends. I was probably doing it maybe like once in a month, but slowly I started to really like the feel of it and I started using it more and more often. And at that time I was also doing some music production. I was just learning how to program music. And when I would just smoke weed and sit down, it would just take me to a different space and I wouldn't even notice like how much time had flew by. I soon started making new friends who were smoking weed and I became really close friends with them. Most of these guys who I used to hang out with, they would just like smoke and sit down to play video games all day long. I really enjoyed playing video games with them, so I bought a PS3 too and started playing it by myself. And soon my interest from music production kind of like dissolved away and I was starting to play video games more and more often. So it kind of started becoming a habit for me too. Before I was just smoking probably once a week or twice a week, but now I was smoking every single day. And wherever I went, I was carrying weed with me, so it was kind of starting to scare me too because I was afraid of being caught. Until then, I had no problem with weed whatsoever and I didn't even see it as a problem. It all started one day when I was at a friend's place. It was a new location and I wasn't familiar with a lot of people over there. But all of a sudden, like we were all laughing and chatting, and when I started smoking, I got so high and all of a sudden I started feeling this panic attack kind of thing. And I felt like everybody around me was making fun of me while they were laughing, and I was actually hearing voices that they were making fun of me, although some of my friends told me later that that wasn't true at all. I was just like imagining things, but it felt so true to me that I almost lost my mind that day. Also, there was another instance when I was driving back from work. I was high, which was a very irresponsible thing for me to do at the time. I felt like there was somebody following me for probably about like 20 miles all the way from my work to home. Before I was still doing weed like socially when I was out with friends, but now I couldn't do it anymore. I was just sitting home and smoking it all day long and I just stopped going out whatsoever except for going to school and for work. So the paranoia started really growing in me and I stopped going out altogether. And at the same time, I got an associate's degree from my college, so I stopped going to school. So all I was doing was going to work and staying home playing video games all day long and I had no life whatsoever. And I was just starting to save a little money. That was my only plan at the time. One day I was at work, which was a convenience store, and this little kid who's no more than 12 or 13-year-old, he walks in and he asked me if I wanted to buy weed. And first of all, I was a little not sure if I wanted to really buy from him because I felt like it was a setup, you know, it was a convenience store and these guys from TABC would come to check whether if we sold like cigarettes to underage all the time. So I thought it was a setup. So he came back after probably like 15 minutes and showed me this huge bag of weed. And I was like, what the hell? I'm definitely not buying that. And he asked me how much money I had. And I told him I probably have like $25 and he was like, okay, just take it, you can have that weed. I knew that I would end up using it, so I just took that bag of weed. Guy was out and I just like hid it in my car. So what happened after that was really crazy. I have not too much memory after that because I was smoking weed so much, like crazy all the freaking time. The first thing I would do right after getting up in the morning was smoke weed, even before washing my face or brushing my teeth. That was so crazy. And in fact, I would even skip the whole washing face brushing part and go straight to playing video games. And I didn't see at all how irresponsible I was becoming at the time. Also, I had saved enough money at the time and I knew I wanted to go in a different direction because I was tired of working in a convenience store. but also I was just becoming more lazy, to be honest, more than anything. So I decided to quit that job too. So now I had this huge bag of weed, which was probably worth like 500, 600 bucks. And I was smoking it so much that by the end of like 3 weeks, I had smoked half of the bag, which was pretty insane. I don't know how I did that, to be honest. And I was starting to feel really, really weak in my body. I had no physical forms of exercise going on, and I wasn't eating properly. All I was eating was like those microwavable pizzas the whole time. And one thing that happened right after that was one of my friends, he sent me this documentary, and it was all about like how thoughts become things, and it was all about manifestation. It happened to be that documentary, The Secret. If you haven't watched it, it's a great documentary. When I first watched it, I was like really happy that I came across something like that, because I feel like it had happened in my life before when I had manifested things without actually knowing it. And then I tried to reflect on what was happening in my life at that time, and I couldn't believe that what kind of situation I had gotten myself into. I still didn't have any plan of quitting weed or anything like that. But in the back of my mind, I was kind of thinking about that documentary and all the things that it talked about. And one day, just like any other day, I just went inside my restroom. The first thing I did was start rolling my joint. And when I saw my reflection in the mirror, I just got so shocked that it just feels like a scene from the movie, because all of a sudden I see this guy who's totally something different. He had this like dark sunken eyes and these huge dark circles under his eyes, and I wasn't wearing a shirt, and I could see all these ribs inside of my skin. So when I started to reflect back on everything that was going on with my life, I just broke down and started crying immensely like a little baby. And after that, I knew that that was gonna be the end for all of it. So long story short, that was the reason why I came to the realization that I had to stop smoking weed. I did smoke recreationally like a few times after that, but never felt good. Every time I smoked weed, it would get me back to the same anxious, paranoid feeling that I felt that day. Also, soon after that, I decided to move to a new place where I was able to find a summer job. It just felt like I had a brand new start, so I had this chance to reshape my identity. And that's when I actually came up with my name Rav, because it was in a town full of tourists. So I just wanted to use a simple name that people could understand. So my previous name was Gaurav, but I decided to just take out the first 3 letters and just become Rav. So Rav is the new and improved version that remained after that old part of me pretty much died that day. Now, I'm not trying to make any huge claims here and trying to say whether weed is good or bad for you. One thing though, what I want to stress upon is, if you feel like your life is being consumed by weed, I think it is a good choice for you to kind of move away from it. For me, I started using it as a tool to experience more productivity in my own life. But soon enough, I had become so consumed by just smoking itself that I just totally threw my own passion out of the window. And I didn't do music production for probably another year or so. Just don't let this happen to you, because you might have some passions and you might think that smoking weed or doing some kind of drug might help you get it done more faster. But sometimes that might not be the case, because it will just take your attention totally off it, and smoking or consuming weed itself is gonna be the main focus of attention after that. And don't let it happen to you. Now, before I wrap this all up, I also want to mention like a spiritual angle looking at all of this. When you smoke weed, it's definitely gonna take you to a more higher state, and there is no doubt in that. If you look at David Hawkins' chart, weed is probably gonna take you to the point of acceptance. After effect of weed goes out, you're gonna come back down to the point of where you started from, whether it be like anger or apathy or whatever. It might even like take you more down. That's when the problem starts to happen. Whereas if you do meditations, you're probably gonna get to that state of high or state of bliss, right? But when you come down, you're always gonna be one step better than where you were at before. And that is the beauty about all these things that I do right now, the yoga, meditation, EFT tapping, and all these kind of things. And if you want to learn more about any of these things, feel free to reach out to me, and I'm gonna be making more practical videos on how to practice meditation. With that being said, guys, let's end this video right here. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave it down in the comment section below. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel already, please do so right now, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you always get a notification of every awesome video that I'm making these days. So that's it. See you soon. Goodbye and namaste.